Los Angeles never truly slept. The city was a living, breathing organism, its streets pulsing with neon lights, its people rushing from one place to another, too preoccupied with their own problems to notice the world around them. But on one particular street, beneath the flickering light of a broken lamppost, sat a man who had learned to go unnoticed. His name was Thomas Reynolds. His clothes were tattered, hanging loosely from his thin frame. His hair was unkempt, his beard scruffy. His brown eyes, once full of life, were now dull with exhaustion. In his trembling hands, he held a small cardboard sign, its edges frayed from days of use. The message was simple. Not looking for pity, just a little kindness. Most people walked past without a second glance. Some clutched their bags tighter as they hurried by, afraid of what he might do. Others sneered, whispering judgments as if he couldn't hear them. He had long since stopped expecting anything different. But then, out of the sea of indifference, a single person stopped. A young woman, no older than her late 20s, crouched down in front of him. She had shoulder-length brown hair, soft features, and kind eyes. There was something familiar about her, though Thomas couldn't place it. Sandra Bullock. At the time, she was not yet the global superstar the world would come to know. She was just an aspiring actress, struggling to make a name for herself in Hollywood. The audition she had attended earlier that day hadn't gone well, leaving her full of self-doubt. But as she looked at Thomas, those worries faded into the background. Sandra, hey, are you okay? Thomas blinked, taken aback. It had been so long since someone had actually looked at him, let alone spoken to him with genuine concern. Thomas, just another night. His voice was hoarse, rough from years of shouting over traffic and sleeping in the cold. Sandra reached into her bag and pulled out a wrapped sandwich and a bottle of water. Sandra, here. It's fresh. Thomas hesitated before taking it. He was used to rejection, used to people ignoring him. The kindness felt foreign, almost suspicious. Thomas, you didn't have to do that. Sandra, I know. But I wanted to. They sat there for a moment, two strangers from completely different worlds, sharing an unspoken understanding. Thomas cautiously took a bite of the sandwich, the taste of real food reminding him of better days. Sandra could see the hesitation in his eyes, the way he seemed to be holding on to something. Sandra, what's your name? Thomas Reynolds. Sandra smiled. Sandra, nice to meet you, Thomas. I'm Sandra. For the first time in a long while, Thomas felt like a human being again. As they talked, he shared bits and pieces of his story, how he had once been a musician, how bad luck and a few wrong turns had led him here. How, somewhere along the way, he had lost himself. Sandra listened, truly listened. Before she left, she slipped a small piece of paper into his hand. Sandra, there's a shelter a few blocks from here. They help people get back on their feet. Maybe you could check it out? Thomas nodded, though deep down, he wasn't sure if he had the strength to try again. Sandra, take care, Thomas. And with that, she disappeared into the night. Thomas sat there for a long time, staring at the piece of paper. It was just an address, but it felt like something more. Hope. That small act of kindness did something to Thomas. It didn't magically change his life overnight. The road to recovery was long, brutal, filled with setbacks and failures. He walked into that shelter with nothing but the clothes on his back, afraid they would turn him away. But they didn't. They gave him food, a place to sleep, a chance to start over. He took small jobs, washing dishes, cleaning floors, anything to keep moving forward. He attended support meetings, learned how to manage his past traumas. And slowly, painfully, he began to heal. Years passed. Thomas worked his way up, getting a stable job at a local community center. He reconnected with his love for music, teaching underprivileged kids how to play the guitar. He became someone people could rely on, someone with a purpose. And all because one person had stopped. Sandra Bullock had long since become a household name. Blockbuster movies, awards, and a career that most could only dream of. Yet no matter how successful she became, she had never forgotten the little things, acts of kindness, moments that had shaped her. Tonight, she was attending a charity gala in Los Angeles, an event focused on helping the homeless population. It was a cause close to her heart. The ballroom was filled with influential people, actors, philanthropists, politicians. Sandra listened as the evening speakers shared their messages, but she had no idea what was coming next. A man in a tailored suit took the stage. Thomas Reynolds. He looked confident, standing tall, his voice steady as he addressed the crowd. But when he spoke, it wasn't about statistics or policies. It was about one night. One person. Thomas, years ago, I was lost. I lived on the streets, invisible to the world. People walked past me every day, but no one saw me. No one, except one person. Sandra's breath caught. Thomas. One night, a stranger stopped. She didn't just give me food or money, she gave me something far more valuable. She gave me dignity. She reminded me that I mattered. And because of her, I found the courage to turn my life around. The audience was silent, captivated. Then, Thomas looked directly at Sandra. Thomas, Sandra, if you're here tonight? Thank you. Gasps rippled through the crowd as they realized who he was talking about. Sandra felt tears sting her eyes. She had never expected anything in return for that small act of kindness. She stood up, the applause echoing around her, and walked toward the stage. As she reached him, Thomas smiled. No longer the lost man on the sidewalk, but someone who had rebuilt his life. Someone who had found hope. And in that moment, Sandra realized something: sometimes, the smallest kindness can change a life forever. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey here at Storystorm. Life is full of unexpected twists, and stories like these remind us of the power of fate, choices, and second chances. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another powerful tale. Your support helps us bring more incredible stories to life. Share your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and we'll see you in the next story on Storystorm.